Hey, besties, and welcome back to another episode of Crafters Roundtable, the podcast where I get to sit down with individuals in the quilting, sewing, and crafting space and learn more about their insights and experiences in this wonderful world of crafting that we live in. Today's guest and I met at QuiltCon, and I am so excited to bring her onto the podcast. But before we get started, please make sure you're subscribed to the channel wherever you are watching or listening, and that way you can stay up to date with everything going on here at Crafters Roundtable. So, without further ado, pull up a chair and join Di and I at the roundtable. Hey, how are you?
Hi, Corey. Good to see you.
Good to see you. I'm very excited that you're joining me.
I'm excited to be here.
It is good to have you. I know we had a few technical issues before we got started, and that's okay. That's the world we live in.
Technical issues follow me.
No worries whatsoever. But I'm glad that we got that all sorted out so you could be here to chat with me because we've got some fun things to talk about.
Okay.
So let's just dive right into it. I want to learn a little bit more about the origin of Sister Chicks Quilting. So since 1992, you
Mhm.
have been known as Sister Chick.
I have.
So can you share the story about this nickname and kind of how it all became central to your quilting identity?
So I'm kind of sarcastic and flippant,
Okay.
and I I called every female a chick, and everything was a chick. And I had some friends over, and one of them, she was from out of town, and she said, "Oh, I would love a sister just like you." And she started calling me Sister Chick, and it stuck. And we grew everything to chicks. We used to make a lot of sugar-free Kool-Aid in those days. But we called it chick drink. And anything that I touched became, chick. So we moved to Idaho in 2001, and I'd always wanted backyard chickens. So people think Sister Chick has to do with chickens. It really doesn't. But one of my granddaughters named me Grandma Chickens. And if you think I got the cutest name ever, the other grandma was called Grandma Cows because she had cows. So I have been Auntie Chick, Grandma Chick, Sister Chick, Grandma Chickens, and it just stuck.
I love it.
When I opened my online quilt shop business in about 2011, I thought I need a cute name, and I said, "Hey, what do you guys think of Sister Chicks?" And all my friends said, "Oh, we like that." So I'm Sister Chicks Quilting.
I love it. That's
And
incredible. And you mentioned opening up your business in 2011. I want to go back a year before that. I know that you began quilting in 2010.
I did.
Uh, so like what and you became really like quickly became passionate about it.
Uh-huh.
What drew you to quilting and like how did those early experiences shape your approach to what you're doing today?
So my whole life I've been a seamstress. I used to make clothing for my family, and it was so exciting. I made my husband's dress shirts, slacks, my little boy's clothes. It was just a lot of fun to make clothing. And um, one day I was walking through a store, and I saw this table topper that was so cute. And I thought, it was made with triangles in a round. And I thought that would be so cute. And I could make them into candy corn.
Oh
And,
yeah.
for my cousin who loves candy corn. So I did. I bought some fabric that were the color of candy corns. And I made this table topper for him for Halloween. I bought the pattern, and I really didn't follow the directions. Like, I had no clue about the quarter inch or anything. It was the worst. There's no corners on it at all. The binding looks horrid, and the stitching, I look at it and I'm embarrassed. They love it. They get it out every Halloween, every autumn. They love that table topper, and I thought I could make more.
Right.
So I did, and I went to Joann's. I had no clue there was a thing called a quilting store. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
went yeah, I went to Joann's, bought some Christmas fabric. I made a bunch for my friends, and each one got a little bit better. But I was still sewing a 5/8 inch seam, and I couldn't figure out why. I don't recall that the pattern said anything about a 1/4 inch seam. So they weren't the best, but my friends all loved them. I made these fun Christmas table toppers for them.
I love it.
I was hooked, and that's how I got started. Just little table toppers.
Little table toppers and a 5/8 inch seam and the binding.
Um,
I think it's quite funny though, those early experiences like that, you look back on them and they've helped because you didn't really have, I mean, you had a pattern, of course, but you didn't really know
right,
exactly where to go, and what to do, with this,
right.
this that was probably pre, like, the YouTube education as much as it
Oh,
is now,
I kinda think so.
Yeah,
It was pre-YouTube, and I was kind of and I'm always creative. I'm just like, "Well, I'm gonna do it my way." So I
right.
was making up my way to do it.
Yeah,
So
I think that's sometimes that's the most fun though, when you get to put your own flair on it and your own spin on
uh-huh,
it. Definitely. So you started with those early tabletop ones, and
yep,
when I did a little bit of reading about you to prepare for this, and after making your first 3 quilts,
right.
you decided to open up your online quilt shop.
I
Uh, talk about that. Like, what was that about? I know you had to pause briefly, so can we chat about that too? Just I kind of want to know the
Sure.
whole experience with it.
So I was shopping at a store called Craft Warehouse. It's only in the PNW, or the Pacific Northwest. So they're from Seattle to Idaho, right?
Mhm.
And I wanted to make, and I thought I'm going to make a quilt. And my neighbor was a quilter, and she had this book about, um, and I talk about this quilt. I really should have brought a picture of it. Um, but I should have brought the quilt and shown you, but oh well.
It's all good.
Anyway, it was a French braid quilt, and it was so gorgeous. And I thought, oh, I want to make that. And I went to the store, Craft Warehouse, and they had these things they called batiks. And I was just like, oh my gosh, that is gorgeous fabric. And the pattern had the braids. There were nine in the braids, and I was looking at that fabric, you know, lining it up in color wheel order.
Mhm.
And I just thought, I can't stand it. I've got to go. I've got to put all of this in. So my first quilt had a French braid, and I had 14 rows. So it was, let's just say, a big sucker. Um, and
Wow.
then I was making it for my mom. I was just so into this quilt, and this is kind of a funny story about I, I'm I'm sewing along on this French braid quilt, and I was following the pattern. By then, I had figured out about the 1/4 inch seam, and I thought, "Wow, it's so easy." But I kind of didn't trust it. You know how new quilters don't that little seam? It's going to hold it,
Mhm.
and I didn't trust it. But as I'm putting it together, one braid after another, and I had them all laid out on the bed in my guest room, in order. I was putting them in, and they were nesting. The pattern said nothing about nesting. And I called the engineer in, and I go, "Come and look at this. You won't believe what I invented." And he goes, "Look, if you do it this way, these seams just lock together." I did that. I did that, Chuck. I invented that. So I always tease everybody and I say, I'm the inventor of nesting seams, not. But at the time, I just thought, wow, look what I created.
What a trailblazer you are. The
So,
things you've done for us.
trailblazer. Right. You had no idea you were going to talk to someone so famous
I
with.
know.
But so I finished the quilt. I it was my very I think it was my first quilt I ever made, and I made a flippin' king size quilt. I mean, there was no queen or throw quilt for this girl because I wanted to cover my mom's bed.
Right.
And then I thought, well, I've got to quilt this. I'm not going to tie it. I'm not going to put all this work in to tie it and put holes in it. So I went to a quilt shop, rented a machine, had no clue what I was doing. You, Corey, would have been horrified. They put me on that long arm, and here's me. I was doing circles. Whoa,
Yep.
like my whole body was in it. And you know how you quilt larger at first? Well, the quilting on that quilt is horrid. Luckily, it doesn't show that much. And my mother loved it.
That's all that
So
matters.
so I was so enamored by the fabric. It was just speaking to me. And I was a fine arts major in college, and I did a lot of painting, and so color is a big part of my life.
Yeah.
And the colors were just singing to me. I couldn't believe it. I was so enamored, and I started making another quilt. Of course, it was a batik. And my third quilt was batiks. And I decided that I named myself the batik freak. So, um, so I made these quilts. I had a friend who was um, who was in the industry, and she said, "I'm going to Quilt Market. You want to come?" And I'm like, "I'm so there. What is it? You know?" And I went. I literally I was just like so impulsive, and I wonder at times, and I always remind the engineer, that's why you married me, because I'm fun and you're not, because I'm creative and you know I went and I just thought I I just ordered and bought a boatload of fabric, and I said, I'm gonna go open a quilt shop. And I did. Isn't
Okay.
that
That's
crazy? I know,
I mean, you do what you
crazy,
gotta do, but I guess for those that have never been to, a quilt market before, especially,
right?
what was your first experience like? Like, what when you walked in, did you have to get picked up off the floor? I mean, it's a
Pretty,
production.
pretty dang much. I
Yeah,
mean, I just could not believe it.
yeah.
I could not believe the colors, the fabrics, the I was touching and fondling and just naturally. And I just couldn't decide. I mean, I think I bought like 5 complete lines of fabric, had no clue what I know, look at you back there going, "Oh my gosh," 'cause that's a lot of fabric. But, I was a realtor, I was doing pretty good, and so I thought, "What the
Yeah,
heck?"
yeah, go for
And,
it. Why not?
yeah, and, so I started marketing under Sister Chicks Quilting or Sister Chicks Quilt Shop.
Okay.
And, but no, my first experience at Quilt Market was just like everything was I was a new kid on the block. I was like, oh my, oh my gosh. Yeah. And they scraped. I met Jenny Doan, and I'm like, who's this chick? And I had no clue who she was. And all these people were starting to swarm around her. And so I went and talked to her, and she was, hey, go for it. And I'm like, okay, she'll never remember. And my girlfriend said, that's the Martha Stewart or she's like the Martha Stewart on YouTube of quilting. And I'm like, oh, okay, I believe you. And, um, and I had started, oh, and this was funny. I met and talked with Angela Walters.
Mhm.
She so impressed me, I couldn't believe it. And she told me her story. Her grandpa bought her a machine at age 18. And I'm thinking, I could never do that because I remember my first long arm quilting experience, and it was horrendous.
Right.
He said, it's just practice, just do it. And I'm like, okay. And she's kind of, I've loved her ever since. She was so kind, so encouraging. And you know what took me back that I really learned? The quilting community. They're just a bunch of winners.
Mhm.
Everybody is awesome. Everybody's just awesome.
Super awesome, super kind, a great
Yeah,
welcoming community. It's just a wonderful place
exactly.
to be. It's just the vibe is just wonderful,
Oh, it
uh,
is. And
every single time.
it's addicting. And
Oh, but it is.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I used to do a lot of jigsaw puzzles, and then I was doing them online. I've given that up, um, because I do jigsaw puzzles out of fabric and thread in my quilt studio, you know?
As you put them together, exactly.
Right, right.
So, you started your quilt shop was it just a brick and mortar shop, or was it online?
No, it was all online.
All online, okay.
In my tiny little house, in my tiny little room, I went and bought big 12-foot wide no, foot wide boards, and they were as long as I could get them, and threw up some cinder blocks and threw my fabric up and made a place and started advertising and selling online. And it was, it was okay. It
Yeah,
didn't move like I thought it should. I had no clue what I was doing, but it was a blast.
yeah.
It was a fun time.
Well, you mean you gotta start somewhere, right? I mean,
Right.
just kinda figuring out exactly what you wanted to do, and, at that time, present Di had no idea
Uh-huh.
what future Di was going to be up to, and
Exactly.
everything you keep moving with it and you keep going. Um, so you started that in, around in 2011, and
Uh-huh.
then in, 2018, you started quilting for customers with a long arm machine.
Right.
What motivated you to take that step, and how
Well
has your business for long arm quilting evolved since then?
well, let me tell you, in 2013, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and going through that was horrible. Going through the treatments and everything was just more than I could handle, and it was, quilting that saved my life. Um, my emotional life, literally.
Yeah.
And so I was really, really tied to it. The day I was diagnosed, I came home and the engineer wanted to solve everything. Don't worry, you'll get reconstruction. We'll do this. I've already looked online. This is so curable. He'd already done all this research from the time I called him until I came home, and it was more than I could handle. And so I said, "Don't talk to me. You can call the kids and these friends and family members, and that's it. I don't want anybody else to know." And I really, really locked myself in my sewing room, and I just became more and more into quilting,
Mhm.
and it really saved me. It got me through that time, and I was in my quilting room for 24 hours straight.
Yeah.
I made, 3 quilt tops. Just I just plowed through 'em.
Wow.
So, I started doing things, so I was making more quilt tops, and I had a need to quilt them, and I was not motivated or excited at all about selling fabric online.
Mhm.
It's not fun to cut and ship fabric.
It's a lot, let me tell you.
It is a lot, and when you're one person,
Yeah.
when you're one person, and it takes a while to physically heal from cancer and the treatments and the surgeries and everything. So I came back to, I just went to starting I just kind of it was easy to get out of the quilt shop,
Yeah.
and I had a good friend, and you may know her, Heather Cartwright.
Oh, I love me some Heather, yes.
Oh, don't we all? And, she said, "Hey, I'm, the new area rep for these long arms,
Mhm.
and, why don't you" well, just before that, I was gonna buy a building because I was big on quilt retreats. I started going to quilt
Oh.
retreats, and I thought, "Oh, I found my niche."
Yeah.
It's so much fun, and you know what fun quilt retreats are.
Oh, yeah.
So, this was before, um I started that in about 2015, by the way.
Okay.
Got with a group of ladies, and we went, twice a year. We still go twice a year. And, and I said, "Hey," I was gonna try and buy this building, and, well, I was all ready to buy the building, and the city it was in said, "Oh, you're gonna have to put a sprinkling system in," and that put the cost up over, in addition to what I was already had the loan for, over, like, $125,000.
Oh,
And
wow.
I'm like, I was, I didn't do it.
Right.
I couldn't go that far into debt on top of what I already was. And I was uh, I was actually sitting at a stoplight one day, looking at this building that I was going to buy, and I just started to pray. I'm a praying girl. I love Jesus, and I said, Heavenly Father, you know I want to be in the quilting business. You know I want to do this. I just need a door. You just open a door and I'll just step right through it. And by the way, I was a full time realtor at the time.
Oh my
So,
gosh, you have so much going on.
well, and that's what the engineer always says.
Yeah.
So,
We had a
but
conversation before this meeting, the engineer and I.
yeah, oh, did you? Anyway, um, so I said, open a door. And I'm not kidding. I'm driving down the road right after I said that little prayer, and my phone rings, and it's my friend Heather Cartwright. And she says, hey, I'm the new area rep for this quilting company. And I said, yeah. She goes, if you become my first sale and buy a long arm, I don't want to quilt anymore for people. I'll give you all my customers. And I'm like, shoot, sounds good to me. So
Sold.
I went home. Seriously, I might be a little impulsive. I went home and talked to the engineer, and he had ownership of the garage. And he says, well, where on earth would you put a 12-foot table on? He said, well, the only place is in the garage, and that means we're going to have to clean it. And we're going to have to finish it because it can't be in the super heat or the super cold. I
Right.
can't work in super heat. So he talked about it. We talked about it, thought it was a good idea. And literally in 6 weeks, which is a month and 2 weeks,
Yeah.
we cleaned out this awful hellhole of a garage, loaded it into a shipping container, was sorting all the way out with the help of some friends. And I ran the construction crew. And Chuck told me, he says, you're not gonna get all these guys in on your schedule. They work on their schedule. And I said, oh yeah, watch me. And I can remember, so we insulated, we put all this electricity in, um, new sheetrock, new paint, new garage doors that were insulated. We the furnace was out there. I called the furnace guy. He put a zone out there so it could be heated and air conditioned. And I'll never forget. Um, I got a call from the garage door guys, and they said, "Hey, your garage door's in, and we need to bring him out tomorrow." I said, "No can do." I said, "We're painting in 3 days," because we still, I had this schedule. I'm literally going down this schedule like this. And he said, sorry, ma'am, they're here. That's what works for our crew. And I said, excuse me, sir. I ordered these doors and we agreed upon this day. And you said you were going to make that you were going to be here on this day.
Right.
And I said, I'm not going to paint. I've got painters coming in, and I'm not going to paint around new garage doors.
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
not going to mask all that off. And he goes, well, looks like you don't have a choice, ma'am. And I said, looks like I do have a choice. I can use another vendor. And he goes, oh, just a minute. And he called me back and he said, all right, we'll be there on the day you want us. And Chuck was just like, or the engineer was like, I can't believe you did that. And I go, you know, and I got everything done on time. And I got my beautiful quilting long arm delivered. And that's how I started.
That's how it started. The rest is history at that point.
It is. And I didn't. And what's interesting is um, I've kind of got a personality that's out there a little bit. And um, I didn't get all of Heather's customers. You know
Yeah.
what it's like quilting
Yeah.
for people. They come and they come and they go, and
Mhm.
that people aren't crazy quilters like I am, where they're doing one a month.
Right.
Some ladies, they'll do two in a year, and then they'll have a 3-year break.
Right.
And I still have customers like that. I don't have a ton, but I've got probably 5 customers that are continually, putting it out like this that I always count on. But so it was interesting. It was tough building customers. And the first couple of years I made my payments and subsidized my business with my real estate income.
Okay,
So
gotcha. So you were still running the real estate while you were starting
I
up this
was doing
business as well.
full-time real estate and the engineer, and then he's an engineer,
Yeah.
so he loved the machine. My machine was automated, and back before a lot of them weren't automated, and he loved it, so we taught him how to use it, and he was retired,
Okay.
so I would go to work and I'd say, "You know what? I've got this appointment, I've got this showing, I have this meeting here, I'm working with clients here. Can you get these 2 quilts done for me today?" And he goes, "Yep." And that's how we did it for a long time.
Oh, that's fantastic. I
And
just
people yeah,
yeah, that's really good. I'm sure people liked that as well. Seeing him in there, running the machine
well,
is a good
they
thing.
didn't, and he didn't really want to. Heather
Uh,
told him to own it. He said, "Own it, you're a man, you quilt." And he thought, "I can do that."
yeah, that's what you gotta do. That's what hey, I mean, it got me to
Yeah,
where I am, so you keep on
yeah.
rolling with it.
Look at you, yeah.
You keep on going. So we've talked about the engineer and we've talked about you, but you also have a daughter, Michelle,
I do.
who plays a very significant role in your business. How did she become involved, and what strengths has she brought to Sister Chicks Quilting?
Well, let me tell you, we grew bigger and bigger. We're not one of the super big shops. We only do about 25 to 30 quilts a month.
Okay.
And I would love to do more. I
Yeah.
would love to keep her busy and give her a raise. But so the engineer was working for me. He fell, had an accident, broke his back.
Oh,
And I was just like, the stress was killing me because I was working all day in real estate, coming home, and actually, I was working. Real estate's backwards. You work in the evenings, right?
yeah.
And so I was, when I was not in real estate, I was quilting, and he couldn't stand there for a while, and it was a long time to recover. And then he doesn't have the greatest of health, and he's got really brittle bones. So, and then another time, shortly after that, we get the back fixed, and he breaks his leg.
Oh
And
my
I'm just like, "Are
goodness.
you freaking kidding me?" And I just cried. I was
Yeah.
just crying. I didn't know what to do. And again, I went to the Lord and I was praying, and I said, "I need some help. I can't give up this business." And the answer came to me: "Hire your daughter." And she was running the service desk of a grocery market, of a big chain here.
Hmm.
And um, that's a tough business. She was doing it so she could be at home with her daughter and during the daytime, and she was working nights. And it's not great on a marriage or a family to have one parent on, one parent off, and then switch all the time. So I called her up and I said, "What do you think? I know you could do this." And she said, "Okay, let me come and check it out and see if I like it." Well, she said, "I hate to sew," and she does. She hates sewing. She loves the long arm though, and she's good at it. And she came out and she goes, "I think I could do this." And we talked about a price that she'd need. And the business by then was doing well enough. I wasn't supplementing from real estate. I only did that the first 2 years. And so I hired her. We got her training. And my customers started loving, "Is Michelle going to be in, when I come and stuff?" They really latched onto her. It was fun. And about a year and a half after, we put her on the corporation, and she's part owner of the business.
Oh, that's
So she's
fantastic.
full-time owner. And you know what? She'll come to work and she'll say, "Mom, Sometimes when she's irritated, I get called Di or Diane.
Mm.
But,
I
she said
I understand her. I get it. I do the
yeah,
same thing.
you work with Diane?
Yeah.
And, so she would come and she'd say, "All right, here's what you have to do today." So, and I was doing that, so it enabled me to do my other little business I'm in, and, shortly after that, and, I'm when you get old, weird things happen, so I'm an old lady, and a lot of my viewers know this, but, I had a stroke and lost my vision for, a week. I got it back,
Wow.
and it turned out to be my heart. And so I have a little heart condition, and Michelle's just and she's just like, "You've got to slow down."
Mhm.
And again, I took it to the Lord, and I found a gal who I was told to call. You know what I did? I gave all of my real estate business and leads to her. Just boom, I was out, and
Wow.
I retired from real estate. It was happy day,
Oh, I bet.
happy day. So I think that was in 2021.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know, about that time.
About that time.
And so now real estate's gone, and because I'd started YouTube by then, and
Yeah.
so that's what happened. But Michelle really, she helps a lot with the organization. The one thing she did do that drives me crazy is go in and change the settings on my long arm and move the menu around to suit her. And
Right.
so I was quilting on it the other night, and I was still clicking old buttons that I knew. I'm like, ah, but I let her do it because she runs the machine like 80% of the time.
Okay. Well,
So
I think because I mean, you still have a Statler, right?
I do.
You
I
do.
do.
Okay. So then you need to set up you and her can have your own toolbars. So then you can just swap between yours and hers.
Oh my gosh. Did I tell you I'm not technical? I can do that.
You
So
could
you
do
know,
that. Yeah, if you
thank you.
yeah, if you right click up on the toolbar, as a side note for everyone listening, surprise. If you right click on the toolbar, you can customize it and then you can save your own presets and then you can just flop between yours and hers.
Thank you, Corey.
You're welcome. Anything I can do
Thank
to
you
help.
very much. Yeah.
I have a little bit of knowledge on those machines.
Just a snitch, huh?
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, so and again, another side note as well. I think thank you so much for sharing your story about kind of how you've overcome these different
Uh-huh.
illnesses that you've had because I know a lot of people in the world, but especially in our quilting community, go through these things as well. And it puts them in sometimes a dark
Mhm.
spot and they don't know how to get out of it. But like you said, you locked yourself in your room. So I'm just going to piece and quilt. You just leave me alone and we're going to get through this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's
Exactly.
a great attitude to have. And just by chatting with you here, we chatted at QuiltCon, but you're just such like a powerhouse just to
Oh,
get
thank
through
you.
it and keep going.
Yeah.
Which is really, really great and really, really
Mhm.
inspiring as well. So thank
Ah,
you for
thank you,
sharing
Corey.
that. I do appreciate that.
Welcome.
So, when you are looking at managing kind of this volume of these quilts, how do you kind of spread your time when it comes to like balancing out creativity versus all of the different, kind of quilts that are coming in? And yeah, I mean, you've got Michelle, and like, how are y'all like kind of spreading
I
these out? Because I know you've got a full time YouTube channel too, which we'll talk about a little
right.
later. How does that kind of all come into play when you're kind of trying to balance your time?
I couldn't have done it without Michelle.
Hmm.
I probably, would have given up. Well, maybe not given up, but slowed down. And I don't know how to slow down or stop or retire, though they're not in my vocabulary.
Right.
I just have this mind. It's like a 20-year-old mind, and it just wants to create all the time. And
Mhm.
so I really think we have um, we have workflow. Every quilt that comes into the shop gets a what is it we do, a custom consult,
Okay.
and we talk to the maker of the quilt. Michelle or I will talk to it, and we'll go over. what do you want your quilt to look like? What was your vision for the quilt? And so it's really a personalized service. And I got one in the mail, in fact, yesterday, and I've got a big retreat coming up that I'm really amping up to. And so I said, "Can I call you after the retreat?" And she goes, "Sure." And then I opened the quilt and looked at it, and you know what? The fabric drew me in. Oh my gosh, it was art gallery 60s vibes. I was just like, just going nuts for the fabric. So we had to do the consult right there.
Right.
And we go through everything, and if the person doesn't have if we can't FaceTime on our phone, I'll text them and they look at text and back, and we picked the stitching, we talked about it, we talked about the thread color, and I said, "Well, what do you think of this?" And found out, her daughter hated orange, so we'd stick with pink. So it just kind of worked out. But we give that personal service too, and the quilters really like it because they've created these quilts so
Yeah.
much. So, so we give them that. We take it. It takes about 2 to 3 weeks to get a quilt finished,
Okay.
and if they want me to bind it, because remember, Michelle still does not sew. Got to learn. Um, if on the binding, if we bind it, we let them know. Give yourself another 1.5 to 2 weeks
Yeah.
because I have a backlog, and that's where Michelle really comes in to help me get things organized because she knows I need to film, and I have another life. And then another thing I don't do is as little housework as possible. So I did give up my chickens to start quilting.
Really?
Yeah, there's just so much a person can do because remember I was doing real estate
Right.
and quilting full time, and so I gave the chickens up. It was hard. I loved my girls, and but we have this beautiful chicken coop out in the backyard that I use as a tool shed for the yard. So, but
Yeah, no, I miss, I grew up with, chickens that we
oh,
used to
you
live out.
did?
Yeah, we used to live out in the country,
Oh,
and I grew up with a ton of them,
was
and now that, I live in an HOA now where that's not allowed, but I do miss it, even though I wasn't the one taking care of them. My
right.
stepdad was, but it's just those fresh eggs, there were no bugs around ever,
Oh, I know.
it was a really cool experience just having them
Yeah.
around.
And I live in the country, so it's like my neighbors all have chickens. I hear them all the time and see them getting out, and I love them all.
Yeah.
So, but that's kind of how the flow goes. And something that we do for our business is my daughter lives an hour away, or 50 minutes, an hour,
Yeah.
and we live out in the country. So we call it going over the hill because we're in a valley surrounded by hills.
Okay.
And so when we go over the hill to do shopping or other things or visit quilt stores or whatever, we do a pickup and delivery service, and our customers love it. And
Oh,
not everybody has the time to do that,
right.
but Michelle coordinates all that. And I was kind of fighting for some customers, and it's like got to do what it takes. And so I started doing that, and so we quilted for one lady for 3 years, and she was a prolific quilter. She'd never been to our little town.
Oh, wow.
First time she came, she's like, "Wow, I love it here. Wow, I love your shop. So creative and stuff." It was kind of fun.
Oh, that's lovely. A pickup and delivery service. And I've heard of that. Are you going to, like, local quilt stores, or is it, like
No,
how
the
is that
quilt
being done?
stores, when we started, I was quilting for people that owned local quilt stores. But
Okay.
then they all got their long arms, and that
Yeah.
business, I lost that business.
Right, right.
Excuse me. So, So I'll meet them. Some people want to meet me in a public place. Some
For sure.
people I go to their house. It depends on how well we know each other.
Mhm.
And it just works out.
Cool. Kinda just works
So
out
I met
along your
this
route.
one lady in the Target parking lot for 3 years. We had our places we parked right between Target and the Kentucky Fried Chicken. It was pretty funny, but she was always there and I was always there.
Love it.
So,
I love it,
and
I
it,
love it.
it and it helped our business grow because so many people are so busy, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah, like, you mentioned in your earlier statement about the workflow and that personal touch, you're just adding on to that with that extra special service, really, giving that experience, like you said, to the customer.
I
Um,
think we are.
yeah. Well, I know you are because I read up on all of my guests before I have them on the show just so I can get a better understanding. Of course, we meet
Uh,
quickly in person and we schedule the
sure.
thing, but I can't get a full scope of who someone is without talking to them, of course. But to learn a little bit more about you, I do kind of a deep dive in what I call it on the internet, and I know that that personal touch and that experience is really making a difference because your customer testimonials that I was reading. They're absolutely incredible. You get so many different heartfelt testimonials from these clients
Yeah.
who appreciate your attention to detail, your artistry, your personal touch to things.
Uh-huh.
How do those comments and those words of affirmation basically make you feel when you're reading like you've put all this work into this business? Like I'm sure that just makes you giddy every time that you see something
Well,
like that.
of course it does.
Yeah.
And when someone says something, it's like when anybody says something nice about anybody that, unless the person receiving is mentally ill and doesn't understand or has issues,
Right.
it's a wonderful thing. And so it keeps us going. Like I say, I was an art major, very creative. And one time, when I was learning to quilt, I digress a little bit, but my my daughter-in-law and my aunt and a neighbor were teaching me. The neighbor was the only one not over the phone. So I was phoning my aunt all the time, who was just a pro quilter. And I and she'd say, "Well, I want to see that." And this was in the days, and I was emailing her pictures of the quilts I'd done.
Right.
And my mom called me up and said, "Hey, I want to see your quilts." And I said, "Oh, okay." So I started emailing my mom pictures, and she called me up almost in tears. This is like my favorite comment I've ever received. And she said, because she'd nagged me for years, I did a lot of painting, watercolor and oils. And she'd say, "When are you going to paint again? I want you to paint again. When are you going to start painting?" And life got busy. You have your career and stuff, and so you really can't. And she called me up. She goes, "Oh, Di, I can't believe it." She goes, "You're painting again, but you're just using thread and fabric. It's so beautiful." And
Oh,
that was the number one ultimate affirmation, and it brought a little tear to my eye.
yeah.
Sorry, but
No, you're
um,
fine.
yeah. So because she's passed on now, but it was wonderful to hear that. So I think I think there aren't enough affirmations in the world. So I work hard to send things like that out to people in their lives.
You do a wonderful job at it, and
Yeah.
I'm glad that your customers are leaving those with you, both, over the phone with you or, in person or, of course,
Right.
online, where others can see it. I wanna talk a little bit more about your online presence. Earlier, we chatted about YouTube, and we've kind of hinted at the different videos. You have a wonderful YouTube channel where you share quilting tutorials and insights.
I do.
What inspired you to start that channel, and what impact has that seen on your connection to the quilting community?
So I I had a website and I thought it's time to grow Sister Chicks Quilting.
Mhm.
And I'd made this video on a sewing machine. And my friend Heather, our friend Heather, said, You need to put that on your website so people can see it." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then I hung up the phone and I'm like, "How does that work?" And I literally didn't know. And I called this young gal that I used to teach in church, when she was a teenager, because I knew she was all over. I kept seeing her on YouTube and I thought, wow, this is just amazing. I
Right.
mean, she had like 180,000 subscribers, and I knew that was something. And I thought, wow, she's kind of a big person, kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
And, I called her up and she said, "Well, I'd love to help you, Di. I will do anything for you," because she feels like I was very instrumental in loving her when she was a teenager, and we all know it's hard to love some teenagers. So she said, "But I'm gonna," and I just want her to teach me how to put something on YouTube and put a link on so it would go to my channel.
Yeah.
I could put it on my website. And she said, "I'm going to help you a different way." And I said, "Okay, what's that?" She goes, "I'm going to help you start a YouTube channel." And I said, "No, no, Heidi, I don't want a YouTube channel." She goes, "No, I feel really strong about this. I'm going to help you start a YouTube channel." And I said, "Heidi, I'm not interested in YouTube." And she said, "But I'm going to help you start one." And it was like that back and forth.
Mhm.
And I hated YouTube because my husband and kids would sit in the same room and watch things on the dang phones and laugh at "Hey, look at this one," and I'm just like, I just thought it was antisocial or something. I hated it. I told her that and she said, "Well, I don't know if I should say the amount because people watching this will know her, but she says, I made this much money last month." And
Mhm.
I about dropped my jaw.
Yeah.
And I said, "So let's talk about this." And
Oh,
and
that was the realtor coming out and yeah. Alright, so let's
right?
negotiate this.
So she literally held my hand. She gave me assignments. We talked every year, every week for one solid year. And she would watch me go. She got me started. She did everything for me. She's such a dear, dear lady. And I've told other people I'm happy to give you the information she gave me if you want, because she did it for me for free.
Right.
And she made all of my thumbnails because I didn't know what software to use or how to use it.
Yeah.
Um, I had a couple of high school kids come and teach me how to edit. And when they left, I was more confused than ever. And I knew I had to edit something I'd filmed on my iPhone for next week. And, the engineer and I literally spent one entire Saturday watching YouTube videos on how to edit on DaVinci Resolve. That's the one. The engineer picked it out. He'd heard good things about it, right?
Yeah.
So we watched it. And I remember we watched the first one and I go, "What do you think?" And he goes, "What do you think?" And I said, "I don't have a clue what they just said." And he goes, "Neither do I." So we watched it again. And we literally spent a full day watching YouTube videos. I was kind of sick to my stomach that I'd spent that much time on it. But at the end of the day, I was able to do the basics to edit my video.
Right.
So that's how it started. And my videos were horrible at first, and my channel started growing. I was really fast to monetize.
Mhm.
And I'll never forget, I had one of my friends that I retreat with. This was hilarious. She said, "So when are you going to make any money?" And I said, "Oh, I got my first check 2 weeks ago." And she goes, "Where'd you spend the $1.27?" And I said, "Well, it was $380." And she said, "What?" And I've never slowed down. It
Never
was
slow
fun.
down.
And then when I quit it, and it's replaced my real estate income. So it's a wonderful opportunity,
Yeah.
for creative people. I mean, you've got it's wonderful to help with marketing, and I'm finding out that so many people watch YouTube. They don't watch television anymore.
Mm-hmm.
My brother and his wife, and he didn't even know I had a channel. And I went and one time I said, "Oh yeah, I'm on YouTube." And he goes, "Oh yeah, whatever." And I showed him some of my stats, and he about died. So proud, and he's so proud of me. He's a great guy, but he and his wife, they have their channels they watch,
Yeah.
now. So it's kind of fun. I love YouTube. The people are the best.
Yeah.
The viewers, they're the best.
They're so
So,
much fun. Yeah, that real-time engagement that you can have with people
uh-huh,
on these social platforms is a really, really
right?
amazing thing, and it's super cool. I mean, even what we're doing right now, that's just
Oh,
it's
I
just
know.
really, really cool.
I know
Um,
this is so much fun. I feel like I'm in you're right across the desk from me.
that's it. That's all we are, just right across the desk, which is
Yeah.
super cool. So, when you're looking at like kind of balancing your day to day between the quilting business and online content creation, are you doing more of that content creating? Michelle's doing more of the day to day. Is that how you're finding that good balance? Or are you both kind of
We
helping each other through
we are.
different
We
things?
are actually. And so Michelle doesn't work full time. She is full time partner, but she doesn't work full time. She she works when her husband has a job that allows him to be home, um, to work from home 3 days a week. So every week we talk on Sunday, and I find out what her schedule is. So when he is home,
Mhm.
because we do live an hour away, she'll come and she'll spend a night or two, and we'll just pound the quilts out.
Okay,
Just pound the quilts out. Okay, we're going to do this and focus on this, and then he can be there to take their daughter to school, etc.
gotcha.
And it's cute to watch them. They get their video calls every night. It's cute to watch little Miss Hazel. I'm not allowed to have her on my channel, which kills me because grandmas love their grandbabies.
Right.
But I'm allowed to talk about her. And one time, this is the best, we made a video and I thought, well, I'm not showing her face. I'm sitting here sewing while I'm videoing and I'm filming from above. So it's looking down, right? And she figured out that if she put her hands in, she was on the video. And then I had her use my little thread cutter. I
Hmm.
said, "Would you like?" So I had her little hands holding a bunch of chain pieced, and she cut them all on the thread cutter. She was thrilled that she was on my video. After that, she realized where I was filming and stuff, and she'd had a little toy, and she'd slide that little toy into the screen and play with the little toy and then pull that out. And she went home and told her mama she was going to be in grandma's video. She watches all of my videos with
Oh,
mom and dad. It was so cute.
that's
And yeah, so that's as close as I've gotten. But I don't know. That's okay.
that's all good. That's all good.
Hmm.
So another thing that you're also doing because you've got nothing else going on
Right.
is hosting quilt retreats.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I want to talk
I,
about the Sister Chicks Quilting quilt retreats. I want to know what participants can expect to get out of one of those retreats. Kind of what's the whole.
right.
I love a good retreat, so
Oh, don't we all?
sell me on going to your retreat.
Okay. So they started, by the way, real quick, they started on YouTube. I
Okay.
needed, when you're on YouTube, it's like almost everything is filmed, right?
Hmm.
Everything becomes a video. And I asked my friends that I go with, can I film the retreat? And they go, sure, whatever. And the video did really well. And at the time, I went back and looked, by the way, there were only a few quilt retreats on YouTube. People had been filming about them in our industry, in our niche, but nobody's had done as well as mine. And in fact, after I made the uh, the video was titled "What Really Happens at a Quilt Retreat." Now everybody uses that title. It's kind of like that was me. But so we started having and people were commenting, "How do I get on your list? How do I get on your waiting list?" And I'm like, I'm not going to invite these people to my personal retreat.
Mhm.
And so we decided to have one. I rounded up my friends. I rented a place and sold tickets, and people came. And of course, Michelle was working for me. So the first thing you can expect at a Sister Chicks Quilt retreat is to be pampered. And now I have to tell you, because of the first location, because we're staying in an old building in a dorm room, it we can only have females. One lady wanted to bring her husband, and I'm like, you know what? You can camp outside in your trailer and come and eat with us and quilt with us because he was a quilter. But as far as there's ladies walking around in their jammies
Right.
that be uncomfortable for them.
Right.
So this one is there's ways to come and be a man. Uh, but anyway, what you can expect is to be pampered. You're going to not lift a finger, and you will have three incredible meals every day. There's a snack, and at an evening there's a dessert. And Michelle is, we're kind of foodies in our family. My brother is a chef. I've worked in hospitality for years before, and so she makes the most incredible meals. She plans them. We have so much fun doing it, and nobody wants for anything. And so you don't lift your finger for food prep or do dishes or anything. We have homemade rolls. We have eclair tort. We have overnight blueberry French toast with bacon and designer syrups. Um, we won't just have a chicken salad. She will grill the chicken on the barbecue, after it's been marinating. So we have excellent food.
Yeah.
We quilt, and I get on the phone and work with a lot of my friends in the industry and quilt shops, and I put together a swag bag that is incredible. Um, I'll give you some numbers on the one we're doing. And one thing that everybody always gets in their swag bag at a Sister Chicks Quilt retreat, and by the way, only 20 we can all physically fit 20 in the sewing area.
Okay.
More can sleep, but that's just how it is. And one thing you always get is a collectible Sister Chicks pincushion. So here is one cut for this retreat that's coming up. And
Oh,
everybody makes these, but they've got my Sister Chicks Quilting label on them.
cute.
They've got little eyes, and here's another one. This was they're not always chicken fabric, but these are just some that I'm taking to the upcoming retreat that I'm working on. So you get one handmade item by me, and that's the chick pincushion. And the swag bags are just fun. And then we don't really have a schedule. We
Mhm.
just sew and just treat people like they deserve to be treated, and people love it. And then we do drawings and prizes. And I have a video out there that it was live from my last year's, from 2024's retreat in Albion, Idaho. And people went crazy. We actually gave one of my vendors that I work with is myfabricaddiction.com.
Mhm.
The owner is my girlfriend, and she gave a prize. We gave a complete pre-cut quilt kit, and then she sends us the quilt to show. So we're holding up the quilt and showing the prize, and we let people that were watching the live, one of those won that quilt kit, and then someone at the quilt retreat won it. So
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
well, yeah, I've got some awesome friends, and so the swag bags were so much fun,
Yeah.
and Michelle pampers them and treats them good, and all the staff that I bring, I just have some, what can I say? Quilters are awesome.
They
And
are.
so we have a lot of fun. And then I'm going a little bit bigger this year. I've got a quilt retreat coming up in September, Sister
Okay.
Chicks Quilting Retreat. of 2025. But next week on April 28th, I'm flying to Hamilton, Missouri, and we've rented this big retreat center. We've got 70 people coming. And,
Oh, wow.
and Corey, can I just say, you should see the swag bags. I am so blessed to know so many wonderful people. And I mean, people are getting Caterpillar products in their swag bag. I don't want to say, well, no, this won't air before then, but they're getting Caterpillar products. Several quilt shops wanted to get involved, and they're quilt shops that have a website.
Yeah.
So we just advertise the heck out of these people. The Laura Star people are going to be there,
Yeah.
and ladies can try a Laura Star and buy one if they want for a discount. So, and you know what? I'm kind of excited about a brand new vendor. We have a swag bag for all the attendees, and then we sold 20 um, VIP tickets, and they get a VIP reception with myself, with April Story from April's Craft Room, who's a YouTube channel, and Tracy from the Sewing Channel. We three are going to put on this quilt retreat. It's called the Three Amigas Quilt Retreat. And we have a new vendor, and that's Linda's Electric Quilters. Have you heard of them?
I have. I've heard of them.
I know. I'm so thrilled. I thought it was so generous of you. And your company sent these marvelous little bags of fat quarters and and then a spool of thread.
Mhm.
And those are going to go in the VIP bags.
Oh,
So
fabulous.
these retreat bags are so much fun. And then we have fun. You learn from one another. You make new friends. We're going to play bingo. We're going to have show and tell. Tracy, April, and I have got a special, well, it will have happened by now. So it won't, we want it to be a surprise.
Yeah.
But so when is this airing?
This will be in August.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. We're doing a wrap, a quilter, and I'm not kidding you. I've got a great big gold chain, and I'm gonna hang my rotary cutter off it. And I know. So, and it's just so funny. Tracy's like, well, I'm not going to do that. And I go, yeah, you are. I said, we're going to do a little self-deprecating humor here.
Oh,
And
please
April
send me
goes,
the
yeah,
video.
Tracy, we're doing it. And so I've got myself a gold baseball hat, and there's the big money thing on it, right?
Yeah.
Well, instead of that, I'm sewing on a mini charm right there. And we're just going to look like dorks, but we're going to have fun. And, hey, word up.
Yeah, there you go.
You know?
That's hilarious.
So we have a good time no matter where we go.
That
It'll
sounds
be a
fantastic.
lot of fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, it
And
definitely sounds. Go ahead.
not everybody is getting a handmade Sister Chicks pincushion, because literally, do you know what it takes for me to make these, to sew them up, sew the eyes on them? I won't do more than 20. So that's why there's only 20 VIP. So Tracy's putting a handmade RFID wallet with the pattern in it. April's doing this awesome mug rug. And so there's the VIPs all get a handmade item in their swag bag. So it's going to be fun. And then when the ladies come, we love on them.
Yeah.
We help, we encourage.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like this is whatever there's on a plane, there's nothing above first class, but I think we're going to invent a platinum class. That's where you're at. Like that is
Yeah,
the type of retreat and the experience that a
we
participant can
do.
expect. So this is that part in the show where you get to plug all the way people can find you. So how can people learn more about Sister Chicks Quilting?
Well, my favorite way is YouTube. So my channel is Sister Chicks Quilting on YouTube. And I would love it if you would give me thumbs up on my videos, like and subscribe to them. If you want to subscribe to my channel, I'll be forever in your debt. And I have a website. we're going to start selling some patterns. Maybe we'll have 1 or 2 out by I already sell a few patterns. I give away a lot on my website. My website is sisterchicksquilting.com, and, I have a fat quarter basket that I made, and, they're in my quilting studio. People love them, and I give the pattern away for free. So, I've given away over 4,000 of them.
Wow.
I know, I know, if I only would have known about money then, right? I don't feel like I don't feel like I can start now.
Yeah.
Um, but we're Michelle and I are going to be writing some long arm quilting patterns that are digital and stuff like that. So I love it when people go to my website. Um, they can find me through three amigas quilt. Let's see, threequiltamigas.com. That's who I am. I'm a three amigas with Tracy in April. And we're going to wait and see how this retreat goes if we want to do it again. Everybody's telling us already, oh, you've got to do it again. But I love the retreats. You
Yeah.
get to be personal. And then my email is don't get so surprised, but it's sisterchicksquilting@gmail.com. So
I'm shocked actually. That one took me back. I've got to think about that for a second.
I bet you are.
Oh
Yeah.
goodness. Well, I will make sure to have all of that information linked in the description below for everyone that is watching or listening,
Oh, that's
so they
great.
can make sure they can find you and subscribe to your channel and learn more about you.
Oh, thanks, Corey.
You're
I've
so welcome.
really I've really enjoyed talking with you. One thing I never told was I know you do a lot of videos to help people teach them about long arm quilting.
Hmm.
And when I first started long arm quilting, I just wanted to take it all in. And the first thing I did was put a television up on the wall. You have been on that television more than anybody out there.
Aw.
Um, and I watched your videos. I was working the long arm, pushing the buttons, and looking up at the videos like this. And you were how I learned to quilt. So Chuck would come home from work and say, Are you out there with your boyfriend, Corey?" And I'd say, "Yes, I am." He doesn't know it, but he's my boyfriend, you know.
I will gladly hold that title any day.
I even I even bought you a gift that I never gave to you because Heather knew you, and it was this little pouch that said "Internet Famous," and I thought Corey's internet famous. So I,
Oh, well, thank
I don't
you.
know. I bought. Hey, it was the thought that counts. I never gave it to. I didn't know how to. You know.
It's all good.
I know, isn't that funny?
That
But
is.
no, you were very influential in my quilting and my long arm quilting, and I appreciate you so much. So it was an honor to talk to you at QuiltCon.
Oh, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate hearing that. One last thing I've got for you before I let you go.
Sure.
For people that are looking at getting into long arm quilting or looking at starting retreats or looking at selling patterns or looking at doing real estate, looking at any of those things like that that you've done, what is some really great advice that you could give for people that are wanting to start their business that
Um,
based off of your experience?
be kind to yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself, and don't give up. Just you know, I all of my friends that I hang out with because we're old ladies or retired. And they go, "When are you going to retire, Di?" And it's like I always say, "I don't know. I'm having so much fun." So be kind to yourself. It's a fun experience, and just keep practicing on quilting. Do what Angela Walter said: practice, practice, practice. So,
Awesome. Well,
and then
thank you so
and
much.
then structure your business right.
Well, that's a whole nother course.
It is, but advice.
It is the advice that that everyone's
Yeah,
always looking for. Well, Di, thank you so much for sitting down and talking with me. I've had a great time chatting with you, and I will see you
you,
next time.
Corey. All right.
All right, everyone. That was our incredible episode with Di of Sister Chicks Quilting. It was so great to hear her story and learn more about how she's gotten to where she is today, looking at those amazing retreats. I can't wait to see all the footage from the one that's happening as of filming next week. And I just can't wait to hear about it. So make sure you follow her on YouTube. All of her information will be in the description below, and see what she's up to. And I will see you next time here at Crafters Roundtable. Bye.